In August of 2008, a middle-aged married woman of Iraqi Chaldean Catholic background discovered in her home an 8 by 10 picture of the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Mother of Jesus Christ, showing signs of oil flowing down the front of the picture. This picture is a copy of the upper half of a statue of Our Lady of the Cape, a particular form of devotion that French Catholics from Quebec, Canada, have had since the 1700s. When this woman brought it to a more prominent place of honor in her home, the picture began to give off oil in fairly great amounts. A platter was placed under the picture to collect the oozing oil, and a clear plastic case was put around the picture to keep people visiting the home of this woman from directly touching it. In April of 2009, a wooden crucifix about 9 inches tall was brought to her home and placed on top of the plastic encasement housing the picture. The cross began to ooze much oil, and under it another platter had to be placed to catch the oil. Around May of the same year, a framed picture of Christ, scourged, crowned with thorns, and wrapped in the red cloak of a fool, was hanged on a wall near the picture and the wooden cross giving off oil. Oil began to flow from the picture and began staining the wall. The picture was taken down and placed on the table, where the picture of Mary and the wooden cross are displayed. It soon began to flow with much oil. A platter had to be placed under this picture to catch the oil, and was placed inside a plastic enclosure. A few days later, a ceramic statue about 1 foot tall of the Madonna holding the Christ child was placed on the table with the 2 pictures and the cross. It too began to give oil abundantly. A platter had to be placed under it, and it was placed in its own enclosure. Later, a statue of Saint Joseph holding the Christ child was placed on this table, and it too began to flow with oil, and a plastic container was put under the statue to collect the oil. Until now, more than 300 pounds of oil have been collected and stored in glass jars. These containers are stored in boxes and stacked in this woman's home. A sample of this oil was sent to a chemistry lab for analysis. The tests revealed that it is similar to olive oil, but the lab could not identify what it is. It is less viscous than olive oil and has a pleasant smell. During May of 2010, a wooden carving of the face of Jesus and another small cross were placed on the same table, where all the sacramentals are placed, and began to ooze oil. One amazing detail about the picture is that for all this time, the oil that has flowed down the front of the picture of Our Lady of the Cape, that there is no sign of the picture disintegrating. The oil is not making the picture break up, crack, or fall apart. And while the oil flows down from the top of the picture, there is not the slightest bit of oil on the back of the picture. The back of the picture of Our Lady of the Cape remains dry. Starting in September 2008, the woman began to experience locutions, that is, experiences of the Blessed Virgin Mary speaking to her. These are locutions heard not inside her mind or spirit, but exteriorly, in the living room of her condominium home. The Blessed Virgin Mary speaks to her in the early hours of the morning, between 2:30 and 5 a.m. The language Mary speaks in is a contemporary dialect of the Aramaic language which Jesus spoke. The woman records the messages in a small spiral notebook by transliterating what the Virgin Mary speaks to her using Arabic alphabet. The woman understands Arabic and the Aramaic dialect which the Virgin Mary uses to speak with her. The woman is assisted by 2 seasoned priests and a seminary graduate certified spiritual director to help her understand the meaning and implications of the messages which Mary speaks to her. These messages are then accurately translated into English to make them accessible to the whole world. They are being published on the Divine Mercy Network with the approval of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Since September 2008, the Blessed Virgin Mary has given this woman over 70 messages and has appeared to her 3 times. The ecclesiastical authority, that is, the diocesan bishop, is aware of these happenings and, as of date, has not made a judgment regarding the authenticity of the private revelations contained in these messages and apparitions, and the oozing of hundreds of pounds of oil from these sacramentals. It is important to note, however, that many spiritual and physical healings have taken place among some of the thousands of people who have come quietly to pray and bless themselves with the oil that is flowing from the picture of the Virgin Mary and the other sacramentals. The messages. The Blessed Virgin Mary speaks to this visionary by locution. The visionary hears the voice of the Blessed Virgin Mary and communicates with her vocally. The Virgin has appeared to her 3 times since she started receiving messages in September 2008. The messages from the Blessed Virgin Mary convey a sense of urgency and are focused on the following themes. Have faith in my Son. He is the King of Kings. Follow him. Honor him. Pay attention and listen to him. Embrace with courage the life God has given to you, and embrace the crosses your life involves. The cross is the only way to my Son. There is no other way to him. Many people have a love for my Son, but not many embrace their crosses. You are children of the light. Have courage and live in that light. Be faithful to the truth. The truth. The truth. Return to my Son before the arrival of the days of damnation. Wake up, O people. The end of the world has arrived. The day of salvation has arrived. The day of judgment is at hand. When the time of the end arrives, my Son will not be able to save those who have rejected God. I give you this oil to bless you, so that you may have faith in Jesus Christ, my Son. Have faith. Faith. Faith in him. I ask you to pray and do penance. Pray. Pray. Pray, particularly the Rosary. I call upon you, my children, to persevere in prayer, so that you will not be lost, but will be found in his love. In summary, the messages are directed to all the people of the world, urging them to return to God before it is too late. The messages of the Blessed Virgin Mary are accompanied by the oozing of an oil-like substance, similar to olive oil, from an icon of Our Lady of the Cape, whose shrine is in Canada, and 6 other sacramentals, including 2 wooden crosses, a picture of the suffering Christ, a statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary carrying the baby Jesus, a statue of Saint Joseph carrying the baby Jesus, and a wood carving of the face of Jesus Christ. The oil started at first from the icon of Our Lady of the Cape in August 2008 and began to ooze from the other sacramentals at a later date after the other sacramentals were placed next to the icon to edify the setting. Approximately 350 pounds of oil have oozed from these sacramentals. The oil continues to ooze from all the sacramentals and is stored in glass jars. Many physical and spiritual healings have occurred after people have been anointed by this oil. A reflection. The manifestation, which is taking place at the visionary's house, is absolutely beyond our capability to comprehend, since it defies the laws of nature. It is not logical that a piece of paper with the image of the Blessed Virgin Mary that weighs no more than a few ounces can ooze hundreds of pounds of oil that is similar to olive oil. The oil is oozing from 6 other sacramentals and continuing. Since what is happening defies logic, the only explanation left is that a power from beyond is causing this manifestation, and that power is God. The question now is, why is God causing this manifestation, and what is He trying to accomplish through it? Based on the nature of the messages which this visionary is receiving from the Blessed Virgin Mary, it appears that God is alerting us to the gravity of the situation which humanity has brought upon itself because of the sins of mankind. Through this manifestation and the accompanying apparitions and messages from the Blessed Virgin Mary to this visionary, God is urging humanity to return to Him before it is too late. But what does too late mean in this context? The Blessed Virgin speaks explicitly about eternal damnation that awaits those who persist in rejecting God. The messages of the Blessed Virgin appear to be very urgent. She calls upon her children to respond to her appeal, since eternity is at stake, to be spent with God in heaven for those who believe in Him and strive to live in accordance with His will, and in hell for those who don't believe in Him and defy Him by not adhering to His will. This perpetual miracle, which has been taking place before our very eyes, and which has been witnessed by thousands of people since it started in August 2008 and is continuing, is a proof that God is intervening directly in human history through the miracle of the oil that is oozing from these sacramentals and the private revelation granted to His servant, this visionary, through the messages and the apparitions given to her by the Blessed Virgin Mary. God is granting us a manifestation that is accessible to our physical senses, and thereby making it easier for those who don't have faith to return to Him and believe, so that He can save them from eternal damnation, of which the Blessed Virgin so explicitly speaks of in her messages to this visionary. God respects our free will and will not force us to come to Him. He invites us and waits for us to make the right choice, and that is to choose Him. In this context, the messages of the Blessed Virgin Mary urge us to return to her Son Jesus Christ to be saved from eternal damnation before it is too late. Please pray to the Holy Spirit for guidance in discerning these messages. An update. In the spring of 2011, this statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary, carved from a single piece of olive wood, was purchased in Israel in the town of Bethlehem, where Jesus Christ was born 2,000 years ago. The man who bought this statue, while on pilgrimage in the Holy Land, had already visited the home of this visionary and had personally witnessed the manifestation of oil from the various sacramentals. Upon returning to his home state of Michigan, the man took this statue to the home of the visionary in order to have it blessed by her spiritual director, one of the Catholic priests already mentioned earlier in this video. Within hours, this solid wooden statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary began exuding the same mysterious oil emanating from the other sacramentals located in the home of this humble visionary. The man who owns the sculpture decided to leave it in place. The miracle continues to this day.